Now, the youth campaign that led to concessions by the government on the Finance Bill 2024 mirrors the struggle for multi-party democracy during Kenya's second liberation, which compelled then KANU government to agree to political pluralism.
34 years later, on a day like today, the current County Governor James Orengo and Reverend Timothy Njoya were part of the movement.
Yeah. And as Agitating now reports, the two say that the Gen Z's protests that engulfed the country awakens the spirit of the struggle.
Being made that affect women directly.
Remembrance of the Sabasaba Struggle began online.
Of course, wages and in the procurement, and how they lose it in the procurement is in the inflated bills because of the kickbacks.
A now preferred theatre of operation for planning to reflect on a symbolic day in Kenya's calendar.
I'm the best candidate within the particular moment to do so.
A spirit rekindled by the youth. Here, notable names who agitated for political plurality were present.
By the specific time, then you can be censured. And actually, there have been even attempts to get Parliament to pass the gender rule, or a Parliament is dissolved.
Kenya's youth have in the past few weeks staged demonstrations that bordered on the events of the 1990s, calling for good governance and accountability. Their cry triggered by the punitive taxes contained in the now withdrawn Finance Bill 2024. The actions reflecting the struggle for multipartism, and through which two icons who actively took part tell us of events that mirror what they fought for, albeit in a repressive state.
We went to the streets, mass action. The National Convention Assembly met at Reburu and decided to do mass action to articulate the need for Kenya to have a new constitution made by Kenyans, for Kenyans, by which Kenyans would govern themselves, in which they are sovereign.
Njoya, like others, saw a violation of his rights in a dysfunctional state where justice was hardly dispensed, and shows us a section of his house where he preserved tear gas canisters, rubber bullets, and stones that were hurled at him and other Kenyans by police in a vivid recollection. He accuses the current political class of failing to implement the 2010 constitution.
What you are talking now today is, was it implemented? It was implemented but corrupted, stolen by a few greedy people who want to use Harabe to buy the voters, who use the Harabe to buy churches.
There's a demonstration.
Yeah. Like Njoya, Senior Counsel James Orengo relates the push for multipartism and today's Gen Z-led demonstrations that saw protesters storm Parliament, leading to the government's withdrawal of the Finance Bill.
So although we have a good constitution, but operationally, the modus operandi of the current government spells of the Moi despotic state. It's one and the same. Even the way it deals with crowds, with demonstrations. This is one of the things that, we thought we dealt with under the current constitution. But now they're even more lethal.
He says today's protesters and theirs have been characterized by systematic state violence and crackdown. But of course, he says needs continued vigilance, pointing out Parliament as the weak link.
They have just become an appendage of the executive. Their language, their arrogance is the same. The second thing is that they are not prepared to live by the Constitution, the values and principles that are set out in the Constitution. That's why a lot of people are talking about the arrogance and the opulence.
And in a show of no relenting on their cause, the Gen Zs have vowed to carry on with their protests, accusing the government of abductions, enforced disappearances, and the killing of protesters. Well aware of a political establishment that has abjectly failed to gauge the public mood, Kenya's Gen Zs have rekindled the call for an end to a culture of corruption, incompetence, and patronage. And unlike the height for political pluralism when the system was designed around one individual, then President Daniel Arap Moi, Kenya's current governance framework is informed by constitutional institutions whose occupants have disappointingly failed to meet taxpayers' expectations, thus informing its voices who are waking up and demanding for an end to this alarming failure. Ayub Abdikadir, Citizen TV.